when a mortar attack under the very connivance of the Iraqi government, because there could be no doubt that these Shiite militias that are operating with the connivance of the Iraqi government, result in the deaths of members of the camp, wounding over 100. And the best that Martin Kobler, a United Nations Special Representative, could find some ways to finesse the fact that this was somehow unexpected and uncalled for, and that's all he can do. I have a message to the United Nations and to Mr. Kobler. If you cannot do your job, then get out of the way. As a former diplomat, I would be embarrassed of the record that he has so far demonstrated in providing the safety and security under the United Nations flag to these people who have earned the right and trust of us and the American people in the United Nations. A few weeks ago, a bipartisan congressional delegation traveled to Paris to meet with Ms. Mariam Ranjavi. This bipartisan delegation met with her and issued a very important message to the Congress and to the people of the United States. And their message was the following. Number one, it's important to revisit United States relations with Iran in the wake of the repeated failure of the Supreme Leader and his government to accept the entreaties of the United States to engage in bilateral negotiations over an undisguised nuclear weapons program. Number two, it's important for the President and his administration to reach out to the democratic opposition in Iran, which we failed to do several years ago, so let's not commit the same mistake and not do that now. Number three, we must do everything possible to ensure the full protection of the inhabitants of Camp Liberty. It's understandable, and I empathize with those inhabitants who say, we want to return to Camp Ashraf. After all, that was the one place that they had some degree of safety and security.
And so we were told by Ambassador Kobler, Mayor Giuliani and I, who sat with him, that if only they moved to Camp Liberty, then it would be easier to get them out of the country. And in fact, a United States diplomat who was working on this file told us the same thing. He told us, oh, they're much safer, closer to Baghdad. They're near the airport, so they can be gotten out quickly if there's a problem. If there's a problem? If there's a problem? What is the State Department's definition of a problem? It is about time, it is long since past time, to abandon the polite euphemisms of diplomacy, to abandon the reaction of the sort that we got from the State Department, which said we take this very seriously and we're studying it. It's time to stop taking it seriously the way they do and studying it. It's time to start taking, you want to take something seriously? How about taking seriously the written promise that we made to those people that they would be protected? How about taking seriously the promise that we made to them when they moved to Camp Liberty that they would be protected? How about taking seriously our own ideals? How about taking seriously the fact that they stand for a democratic, non-nuclear, law-respecting Iran? How about taking that seriously? If the U.S. State Department wants to take something seriously, they can take all of those things seriously and send what we have a surfeit of, which is airplanes, to the airport that's right near Camp Liberty. Pick those people up and get them here. It is time to stop taking seriously the kinds of things that the State Department claims to take seriously and start taking seriously what the United States believes in, which is a free country where people have the right to choose their own destiny. And the only way we're going to bring that about is by cooperating with and strengthening the hand of people who stand for what MEK stands for, and bringing them here and doing it. Thank you very much.
The United States, as we have talked about, needs to bring these people out. They need to bring them out now, and they need to bring them to the homes and to the security that they deserve. UN Ambassador Martin Kobler and his wife, German Ambassador Britta Wagner, have proven themselves nothing more than to be a pair of parrots sitting on Maliki's shoulder. I have also analyzed Maliki must be the best ventriloquist in the world, because no matter how far away he gets, every time Martin Kobler opens his mouth, Maliki's words come out. Last December, when I was testifying before Canadian Parliament, I took it a step further, and I said it's an extermination camp waiting to happen. This last rocket attack proved it is an extermination camp waiting to happen. And as soon as it did happen, what did Martin Kobler, Frau Kobler, and U.S. State Department do? They called upon State Department, they called upon the Maliki government to do an investigation. And as our friends have seen a letter I recently sent to them, Maliki does not investigate Maliki any more than Maliki steals, Maliki pays for what he can steal. Instead of the United States executive branch trying to appease the Iranian government, it is time for working to change that Iranian government. It is time for the U.S. executive branch to stop praising Maliki. It is time for Maliki to go, and he needs to take his two Kobler parrots with him.